Well, there's this trend that's happening on TikTok, and it says, so you think you know your bestie?
Oh.
Which of these, and then it does a thing, would they choose? And it poses like a top 5 or a top 10. So,
Okay.
Scott, you think you know me? You think you and I are really friends? I'm going to put that to the test.
So I think I can Willy.
Let's say, which I don't, and it's not because it's a choice, it's just because of who I am, but let's say I went the other way and I wanted to choose a new fictional boyfriend.
All right.
Which one do you think I would choose? Had any of them be interested in me? That's a rhetorical question. We're going to assume based on this that they all are, and this is something that you and I are going to ship me in. Okay, you ready?
Oh, so is there a list, or do I have to think of...
No. I'm going to give you a list.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a top 5.
I was like, there's so many fictional boyfriends for me to choose for you.
In this scenario, here are your top 5 choices of people that you have to pick which one I would have picked. So we're going to start with Captain America.
All right.
Followed by Harry Potter.
Okay.
Moving quickly into, from Stranger Things, Steve Harrington.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We're then going to switch over to Jim Halpert from The Office.
All right.
And lastly, maybe a little young, but hey, we're going to go with Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
Oh, these are all very good. I'm gonna take out Peter Parker and Captain America because I feel that if you dated Captain America, no matter how much he says he's into you, he's always gonna have a crush on Peggy. Like, that's always gonna be the back. You're always gonna be number 2. No matter, you can never be number 1. I'm gonna take out Peter Parker as Spider-Man because I feel like he's too young and irrational, and he's still got a lot of growing up to do. We've seen that several times in his movies. He's too young for you. And, you know, illegality aside,
we'll let Zendaya figure him out.
Exactly. He needs to growing up some too. I mean, he's shooting webs all over the place. It's gross. You'd have to clean up after him constantly.
That's puberty. Yep.
Okay, Harry Potter is a strong candidate for you because we've talked about how if you just could make up any fantasy world, you'd decide to break the laws of physics and, you know, be a wizard.
One of my forearms does have a wand tattooed on it, so okay.
That's right. And you beat that wand mercilessly at night. So he's strong contender. Jim Halpert. I don't know. He's kind of like the strong silent type. He makes all those cute jokes that you like. Also a strong contender. My pick is gonna be Steve because I feel like you do your hair like Steve almost every single day, and he's brave like you want. He can be brave when you can't. He's able to connect with kids, which I know is very important to you. You know, he took that little gap tooth kid under his wing, and
also into lesbians.
I think he's the candidate. My pick for you is Kit Harington.
You know, I'm not going to rank them. I'm not going to force rank them for you. But what I will tell you, Scott, is you were so close, yet so far. Because it's got to be Captain America. It's the arms.
I thought it was the ass. Welcome to the front podcast of the internet. I am your host, Scott, and that's the other host over there, Willy. Willy?
What, Willy?
What's that you got on there, Willy? What are you wearing today?
You know, Scott, I'm an adult, some might say.
I think so, according to your driver's license, at least.
But we all have those adolescent urges. That's not a euphemism.
I mean, every day, yeah. Maybe twice.
Ever since I was growing up, I have had the fondest memory of the Mighty Ducks series from the very first one back in 1992,
something like that,
all the way through the third one, that when they went off to preparatory school, which was really just a version of college, but they were too young. It's really weird.
Yeah, I think every single one of them was in college or college age at that time, so they should have just moved it to college. But
considering that one of them was fully tattooed in the second movie, I mean, what kind of parent is like, yeah, you're 15, go for it?
Yeah, and I think they all had full beards in the third one, too.
Yeah.
So that was just strange.
Well, this is probably weird for people just listening to the show, but I am wearing an original Mighty Ducks jersey that I got online, and I feel whole again.
I know that any Minnesota kid who was into hockey, like, absolutely wanted to be in the Mighty Ducks movie or, like, be a part of that team. Like, it resonated so well with us here in our great state. I'm kind of jealous, but I also know, and, you know, considering what we talked about at in the cold open there, if we can, I don't know if you can reach back behind you. Other arm. Yep. Oh, you almost got it right there. I got you a present that is very similar to what you're wearing right now for your birthday one year.
I think this is one of my favorite presents I've ever received.
And for those who are on the podcast, it is a drawing. It's like a print, but somebody drew all three of the Mighty Ducks jerseys. Now, real quickly, before we kick off the show, speaking of sports, we teased a couple weeks back the possibility of us doing a Reddit fantasy league, which is as fantasy as it sounds. I reached out to a couple people. We did a test run of the league, and it looks like it is going to work. So for anybody listening to this episode, by now, you hopefully will have seen me tease this and on our socials. We're going to be doing this, and I think we're going to shoot for July as the launch, all 4-5 weeks of July, whatever it is. Like I've said many times, I'm bad at math, but we're going to have a fantasy league, and if you're interested, please let us know. Please sign up as quickly as possible because we want to get this thing off the ground. And what are we going to give away, Willy?
So we're still working out some details, but some actual money prizes. So no money to enter.
It's going to be free.
So we're just giving our money because we want to, because this would be fun. So neither Scott nor I will be participating. We will be officiating as your unbiased, very biased judges. You pick which one of us is which.
Yeah, so anybody who's into fantasy, whether it's fantasy sports or fantasy bachelor, please join the league and win some cool stuff.
Now, Scott, I want to talk about cool things really quick. So this past week, I've probably sent you 3 or 4, or at least in my head, I've sent them to you, some videos
yep.
of people working out and doing unbelievable things.
Yeah, I also appreciate that some of them were not clothed, and that's just a nice little pick-me-up in the middle of the week. Really needed it.
All dudes, to be fair. But I know who's listening to the show. Just Scott's not in trouble. It's fine. I'm not sending him anything inappropriate. But I sent you a link here. This is from a subreddit that maybe we've only mentioned once or twice. It's a subreddit called Be Amazed. And this week, there is a GIF of a woman doing something that can only be described as amazing. Can you let the listeners know what's happening?
Right. Okay, so there is this woman who is doing a free climb on some sort of climbing apparatus, and she's from Japan, according to the climbing outfit. Is there there must be several world championships of climbing, but she is completely upside down, hanging off these climbers, forgive me, I don't know what they're called, but the rocks, they're green boulders. Okay, she's bouldering upside down, and wow, that is some envious strength. I will say that. I'm not gonna paint myself into a corner and say I'll never be able to do that, but I'm pretty sure I never will.
So, have you ever been rock climbing?
Several times, yes. Not actual rock climbing, but only indoor simulated rock.
What was your experience of rock climbing?
A lot of fear. I brought several pairs of shorts just in case. One time, actually, you know what? It's a mixture of fear and embarrassment when you go for the very first time or the very first few times, because I don't know if you know this, Willy, but you have to wear a harness that pretty much cinches up your kibbles and bits and puts them on display for everybody there. And
were you just embarrassed because of it? Like, not only were you bouldering up the wall, but you had a boulder in your pants?
Yeah, it got in the way several times. If you ask our friend Josh, about the last time he and I went, he'll tell you some stories.
Oh, jeez.
But then there's also that fear of like, okay, I can climb 6 feet off the ground and not feel bad because if I fall, I think I can like land on my feet and kind of bounce up without getting hurt. But once you get 10, 15, 20 feet in the air, now you're like, okay, this is where anybody's genetically imbued fear of heights kicks in. The fight or flight response starts boiling up in your adrenaline starts rising. It's a thrilling / terrifying experience.
So you mentioned the fear of heights. I recently watched a TED Talk by, I can't remember his name, but he's the guy from Free Solo.
Ted? Did Ted talk?
It was Ted's brother.
Oh, Fred. Let's look up his name just so everybody knows.
Yeah, Ted's brother. His name is Alex Honnold. Honnold.
Are you sure it wasn't Luke or Leia? They freed Solo.
It was Ben. All right, now that we've run this joke into the ground, his TED Talk, essentially he said, listen, I don't have a fear of heights. You don't have a fear of heights. You have a fear of falling.
I guess I don't fear 10,000 feet in the air as a general thing to be afraid of.
So he says, I'm afraid of falling all the time. I look at this video of this woman rock climbing at this championship match, and I think, all right, you're at the peak of your competitive, fear-inducing sport.
Yeah.
My question for you, what is the most daring thing you've gotten yourself into? Now, while you think about that, I'll give you a minute to think. I've done a few things. On my bucket list, I definitely want to go skydiving. I think that would be so fun.
Same.
On the other hand, I have done a few things, and I've witnessed over the years that I am the worst when it comes to fear. So growing up,
same.
We would go camping in just south of the Boundary Waters, and we would go tubing. We had a boat, and we would all get on the back of this tube. Well, I was so scared growing up that I made my uncle drive the slowest he possibly could. We would also go cliff diving. And I remember cliff diving, I think I could only get up to about 10 feet before jumping because of how terrifying it was. Meanwhile, my cousins and my sister, who are all 4 or 5 years older than me, are jumping off of like 30-foot drops.
That's insane.
So I don't really have many daring things except for going like 130 miles an hour in my car. Well, that's just dumb.
I honestly, like, I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to these types of things. So like when I was growing up, for me, doing something daring was like driving 100 miles an hour for the very first time on my way back from a Metallica concert, just because I could. Or
you're such a badass.
I know. Yeah. I can think like I went mountain climbing once, but honestly, like my heart rate gets pumping when I try to talk to girls. Like that was one of the most daring things that I had to overcome.
I
one
still
of my
haven't
greatest
overcome
fears. There. You'll get it one day. Speaking of things that are daring, this week in r/movies, people, I would say the people who do this are daring lots of people, other people, to not come after them and murder them in their sleep. And what I mean is, somebody posted, I hate inconsistent movie volume. In every single movie or series, there's a horrible ratio between action scene volume and conversation volume. Every time I need to up the volume so I can at least understand what's being said in a conversation before being blasted away by a sudden action scene, forcing me to quickly lower it again. Those people who are like mixing things for us at home, like it's kind of like the same people who, for whatever reason, decided like, oh, okay, you're watching network TV, but when you get up, when the commercials come on, we're just going to crank the volume up 10 levels so you can hear us all the way from the kitchen or wherever other room you've stepped into. Meanwhile, anybody
have been
else
sued for that.
Yeah, anybody else who's just sitting in the room not getting up is now deaf. So they're doing the same thing in movies. And Willy, have you experienced this?
Oh yeah, I think it is one of the biggest annoyances one might have, and it's probably why I tend to listen to all audio on headphones. That, and I really want to avoid the meme of playing porn over the speakers in the living room.
I've found myself turning on subtitles because of this, in addition to my ear issues.
You need subtitles for porn?
Yeah. It's, I mean, when you're, they're not like really clear in their moaning. It's
yeah.
so
you want to know if it's oh or ah. If it's I mean, you don't want the person to be in pain.
Yeah. That's not something I'm into. I'm not into that pain stuff. So
now the ooh-woos.
Right. So you take notes when the good noises come up.
Okay. Seven. Yep. Got it.
Exactly. So if you go down into the comments, you'll read that somebody posted another Explain Like I'm 5 where they talked about this. And it sounds like that the mixers who create these shows and movies and stuff have to try and do it for theaters. They have to try and do it for Netflix. They have to try and do it for DVDs. They have to try and do it for like Dolby 5.1 and 7.1 mixes. And there's just so many different options. They're just like, fuck it. I can't, I'm not even gonna bother. Like, you get the movie version and that's it.
Having a range of audio, as somebody who edits this podcast, you want quiet things to be quiet. You want them to feel intimate and tense. Like A Quiet Place. The loud moments pull you into the film and terrify the shit out of you. If you haven't seen A Quiet Place, go see it, because now that theaters are opening up, we need to go see A Quiet Place too. But
today's episode is brought to you by
John Krasinski. Always in second place. He was my second place.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyways, but then they want the loud moments to be super loud. And I think that person is saying in the comments is saying all of the correct things. They don't care about normalizing that audio, bringing the high ends up and the low ends other way around. The high ends lower and the low ends higher. They don't care about normalizing that audio. Now, if somebody was smart and wanted to create a tool using some machine learning, they could do it, and then we wouldn't have to deal with this BS.
Yeah, there's got to be some AI out there that compensates, or like you can set up for like, I am watching on Netflix, so home theater system program for Netflix.
Let's do this, Scott. Let's create an AI that is very analog, and it is just a mini robot, and it listens. It's in your room, it's listening, and it hears the volume, and we just program it to just turn the dial.
Oh, that'd be good. I was thinking like maybe we could have them watch it first, and then they know exactly when to turn the volume up and volume down. And it can also give ratings and put it on Rotten Tomatoes for us.
No. It has to be real time, because it has to take the action for us. And we want that robot to like, your TV still has a knob, right? My TV still has a knob.
Yes.
Is it a bunch of knobs just
No.
on the right side, wood on
Buttons.
the corner?
Buttons. No? I've got buttons.
Oh, well, it programs it, and then it looks at you and it gives you a thumbs up. And if you give it a thumbs up back, it says, hell yeah. And then it leaves it at that. And if you give it a thumbs down, it cries.
That sounds great. We can start testing it with those other short videos that you watch all the time.
It's just going to be a thumbs up the whole time. You're doing great, buddy. Oh my God.
Louder!
Oh man. Now, I don't really have a good transition for this one, Scott, so you're just going to have to go with me here. And where that is to ancient Greece.
Ooh.
So this week in the subreddit Interesting AF, there was a post that said before and after the excavation of the ancient Greek stadium. See this post?
I have seen this post because it was truly interesting AF. I didn't understand the first time because I kind of scrolled by it really quickly and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this picture before. But then it showed up again, like somebody else posted it, cross-posted it and somewhere else. And I was like, what's the big deal? They just like kind of mowed the lawn and it was there. But no, it was like a true excavation. Like people dug this out of the ground. And for anybody who's not been to ancient Greece or current Greece and seen the remains of ancient Greece and maybe had a rub and tug done by a random dude, you would understand that Willy has.
True story.
But going back to this picture...
Not sensationalized at all.
You didn't have to pay for that, right? Like, that was free. It was just random and free.
No, I had to pay for it.
Years of therapy. But
For those uninitiated, I'll tell the Greek thermal bath another time.
So, podcasters listening at home, it is what looks to be a small little valley of trees and grass and a couple rocks strewn about on the side of, I don't know, is that a road right past there? Maybe it's a farm, a field, or something like that.
They have highways just like us.
It's definitely a noticeable dip. Almost looks like a crater or something. A glacier came to a stop there. The second picture is what they dug away, revealed to be this Olympic-like stadium with just... actually, I know for the Wisconsin football fans, it kind of looks like Lambeau Field. It's just all... what are those called? Right? Why is this... Yeah. But what are the seats called? The stadium seats.
Oh, fuck. We're so dumb.
You can see how much into sports
like
we really are.
Seating?
Yeah, but it's like the benches that you would have at high school football games. Why is this escaping my... What are they called?
Bleachers?
Bleachers! Yes, it just looks like a bunch of marble bleachers.
God, we're so dumb.
Oh, man. Getting old. Getting real old.
I sent you this photo. Not only is this interesting, the work that has to go into excavating something like this, but for me, growing up, I was not into history. I think that was one of my least favorite classes.
No, I just can't believe you were like not into history. So for me, that was like one of the most paid attention to things that I did in school. Anytime somebody talked about wars and how we came to be, I was just like, well, that's really cool.
I wasn't into it until it became something tangible. So when I was living in Greece for a few months, we went and saw this. Incredible. And you would have had no idea that it was underneath all of this. You can get in there, you can walk up on all of the steps. It's crazy. But really, I want to tell you this.
Whoa. You can walk on this?
Yeah. You can walk on almost everything that is...
Isn't that a problem,
older.
though? Haven't they, like, stopped that so it doesn't wear down and, just kind of wear away?
On certain things they have. I think the challenge here is that maybe I have a skewed version of this. When we were there, we were chaperoned by one of the leaders in archaeology for Greece. So we just kind of had a golden key to get into things.
Nice. Okay.
So I want to tell you this story. We got on a ferry and we went to some of the different islands to study some of the ancient architecture or just weird moments in time that societies had left. Have you heard of the island of Rhodes?
I can't say that I have, no.
And it's not like streets, it's not these little pathways. That's not Rhodes, Rhodes, Rhodes.
Is that where all the scholars come from?
You've seen the photo of this. You've probably played Assassin's Creed games where they bring in all of this crazy lore from history and sensationalize it. Well, there's something called the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World, some of which is around and some of which isn't. I didn't realize the impact that the island of Rhodes would have on me until after visiting.
I've played Civilization. I'm familiar.
I just sent you a link from the History Channel, one of the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World, and this is called the Colossus of Rhodes.
Oh, yeah. Everybody had to pass under his sack in order to get into this harbor.
It's the giant statue on either side of a waterway into the main harbor of this ancient city in Greece.
Part of me wishes we still did this. It's just cool.
We went to this island. We got to see where that would be. And it wasn't until recently that I realized how huge this thing is. This is like 30 stories tall.
Oh, damn.
And they built it over the water.
30 stories, so that would be like where I used to work. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it says it's 100 feet.
Oh, I don't know.
That's probably about 10 stories.
10 stories. All right, that's a little smaller. Not as impressive. But, size doesn't matter. At least that's what I'm told.
I mean, his size is probably a full story.
I'm sure it was definitely a story for several people. So you got to see this. Was there anything there when you went? Is it like his toes or his feet? Maybe an ankle? Nothing. Okay. That's too bad.
Nothing. But what was there is a crazy tunnel system. This is something that I don't think people would normally be able to get to see. You can walk around the whole island pretty fast, but we walked in through one of the walls and just kind of probably illegally walked through all of the little passageways. Like if you're watching Game of Thrones and all the characters are running through these like hidden passageways and walls, we did that.
Cool. Did you get lost?
Oh, we totally got lost. But like serendipitously, we walked up to a locked gate at the top of this staircase, and we're like, how the hell do we get out? Do we climb this? Do we climb over this like metal gate? Our our like handler, if you will, walks around the corner. He's like, "Oh, hey guys, want me to unlock that?" And we're like, "Yes, please." Nice. We've been down here for hours.
I did that in Germany or Austria. There's this city called Hamburg or something like that. Anyway, it's an old walled off city, and so we were exploring, and we were choir, so we were gonna sing a concert in the middle of the city, and so we had a couple hours to like explore, and so we were looking around at gift shops and stuff, and some of us went to the wall, and there was a spot where you could climb up, and we just started running around down the wall, and when we came down, we're like, okay, well this is a city, like all the roads should point to the center, right? And we started just walking back where we thought was the center. Nope, got super lost, and as it turns out, nobody speaks English in this little city town.
You know, they tend to not speak English in other countries.
We showed up late to the concert, but like some nice couple eventually saw our we were all wearing the same jacket, and we were just like, oh yeah, they pointed to our jackets, and they pointed like down the street, and we were like, oh, thank God. Whew.
That's amazing.
Speaking of amazing and tying into foreign countries, this week in r/interesting AF, not to copy, but I'm gonna anyway. This post is called Vilnius has put up a statue that offers a portal to the Polish city of Lublin, allowing people to see each other in real time. Willy, I just sent you the link. Tell us what this looks like.
If you have ever played the game Portal, it resembles this in almost zero ways except for shape. And not even that. The shape in Portal is an oval.
It's round. It's like a circle.
Yeah. It looks like two discs made out of thick stone with kind of what are those circle lights called that
ring lights?
Yeah, like a ring light put around a mirror.
Did you ever see the movie Stargate?
Oh, it looks like a Stargate. Yeah, like a tiny one.
Like a small Stargate, yeah.
This is super fascinating, though.
How cool is this? I would love this in like several cities.
If this is the future of communication, I'm into it. I am 100% into this, to just be able to walk up. I want to be able to talk too. Like it looks like there's a little kind of like rectangular platform that the portal itself is sitting on. I would like it if you stood on that, if it would activate a microphone and you could just be like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah, I would wonder about that too, because like if there's a microphone, I would, kind of what I've talked about before when we were talking about AI in the past. Like I think everything just is generally skews negative. Even we just can't have anything nice. Somebody's always going to ruin it. So like for this thing, my number one question would be like, how quickly is somebody going to like swear or like curse somebody out over it, or decide to go streaking in front of it, or just not go streaking in front of it, just kind of like stand there all proud and like the scholar of roads, just saying, here I am.
Remember, hold on, they're still in public on the other side.
I know.
I know. They're not gonna just stand there with their butt cheek hanging out saying like, check out my dick.
Are you kidding me? Totally. People would. There's people who are super daring and like aren't afraid of heights and aren't afraid of public nudity and would love to have somebody in, if we had one in Los Angeles and one in New York, to say like, all right, this is what a New York dong looks like. What do you got?
I mean, it's probably better than a New York dong. Let's be fair. I do want to point something out though. You brought up a really interesting topic here. This idea of like adding chaos to the world. We always assume, our brain like our stupid monkey brains always immediately think of the worst possible scenario. I'm not going to be able to find this video, but this guy wanted to test this theory. And in the video, he lives really close to like a hiking path. And I think it's probably somewhere in like California. So he went to part of the path and he chained up a cooler, put ice in it and filled it with water. And then he put up a lockbox that you can like put money into. And he said, hey, don't be a dick. There's water in the cooler for $1. He linked his Venmo account, his Cash App account, and then provided this lockbox. In like the week that he did it, not only did nobody steal the cooler, but he had 100% return on investment. Nobody stole a bottle of water.
That's awesome.
And it's the most trivial thing. Somebody could just be going on a hike and they're like, I don't have $1. I don't want to go through this work. I'm going to just steal this thing. I'm going to take a lock cutter and I'm going to steal this dude's cooler and I'm going to walk it out of the park. Nobody did any of that stuff. And he even received money in his Venmo and Cash App account.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be what we can hope is like the goodness in people coming out and coming to the forefront, rising to the top. It's just, it seems like we have to prepare for the worst things now. But going back to this little portal thing, what would you do if you got to see this? Would you go see it maybe once and just kind of say like, oh, that was cool? Or would you go back, once a month? Do you think this would have lasting effect, or would it just be something that people eventually ignore?
I want to see it going a little bit further. So it says that it's between Vilnius, and Lublin. What country is that in?
Vilnius is in Lithuania.
I want to see something like this go a little bit further. I want to see it link more countries. So imagine, if you will, that it's switching between multiple areas. Or imagine that you can go from like New York to the UK or New York to Spain.
If there could only be one, I would say that's really cool. Otherwise, it would be awesome to kind of do like a circle of these things, kind of all facing out. And then so you could walk around and see different cities all at once.
I think like we've reached this really interesting point in 2021 that the top comment kind of sums up maybe a lot of listeners' feelings, where it says people 100 years ago would have lost their minds. People today would look at this and go, huh, neat.
Yeah, this is an amazing piece of technology that hopefully gets used for good and continues to bring the world together rather than causes people to just say, hey, let's make a mockery of this world wonder, like current technological world wonder.
I think one of the easiest, I want to make a retraction from earlier. I think one of the ways that this should be set up is not in somewhere like the US and the UK. I want it to go to countries that, if this were to be in the US, I want the portal to be in a country that most people don't understand. Throw it in Iraq. Throw it somewhere like Ethiopia. Allow us to get a view. Allow people in the United States who are generally uncultured swine, like myself, I can't speak for the whole audience, to have a view into other people's worlds and to unify these communities of people that are the only thing we really get a sense of is what the media tells us.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be really, really cool. And from a chaotic point of view, you could just drop one of these in next to those those communities that have never seen another human and that are technically kind of protected. And just be like, come on, all right, we gotta bring you into this century. Let's just
Scott,
go.
Here's true chaos.
Here's your God portal.
remember that monolith that was moving around?
Right.
It's just this community of people just minding their own damn business walks out to
a giant stone, because to them it would be a giant stone with this
glowing,
with this crazy,
just showing some douchebag on the streets of New York wearing like an overly destroyed shirt that he paid $5,000 for from Kanye West, going,
Or a really crappy Elmo costume.
Just one of those dudes painted gold on the side of the street.
Yeah, I can only imagine what these tribes would think of the naked cowboy of New York.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We are all over the internet. You can find us on Instagram at
Sub for that.
You find us on Twitter at
Sub the number 4 that.
You can email us at subforthatpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can do what the Gen Zers are doing. You can follow us over at TikTok at subforthatpodcast.
And if you really like the show, please give us a rating on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Give us a like or a follow or a subscribe on our YouTube.
Or more importantly, tell a friend.
And remember, no matter what you're into, whether it's too afraid to ask,
secret compartments,
or cryptocurrency news, there's a sub for that!